Hello everybody and welcome, and Happy New Year! It is still January, so I can still say that. And at the beginning of the year, I don't know about you, but I like to not only look over my achievements and projects and what I loved over the past year, but also what I want to get to in the next year in terms of not only experiences or focus, but also projects, specific projects. And typically I have a list of specific garments that I want to sew. But this year is different. This year I want to set more intentions because I'm currently facing the most unstructured year. There are so many unknowns that I don't have under my control this year. For example, professionally, I lost my job last summer. I was there for 10 years, so it's a big shift in my lifestyle, and I've been working on this channel more, and I'm going to see this year if I can make that work professionally, but it's definitely a big change, and who knows with the YouTube algorithm if it's going to work. And then in terms of health, I'm currently undergoing a medical treatment that's pretty tough mentally and physically, and I'm not sure how that's going to turn out in the next year. So who knows, in the next 3 to 6 months, who knows what my life is going to be like. And so in order to handle my anxiety, and lessen the pressure, because if I were to define an entire list of sewing projects that I want to get to this year, I think that I would burn out, or I would feel a lot of pressure and be very uncomfortable. I would like to instead set intentions, and I have two main goals that I want to focus on this year. The first is making for my current life, and that means I'm currently mostly at home every day working on this channel, working on sewing projects, and I don't have a lot of casual clothes to wear. And so I would like to focus on that, but then also I want to focus on sustainability, not only in terms of my budget for creative projects, but also physically when it comes to this medical treatment and how to take care of myself. And then lastly, and most important, mentally, because I experience quite often a sort of cognitive overload where I have creative projects circling around in my head, too much inspiration, too many projects I want to get to, and not enough time. And then I have a really hard time picking out which one I want to work on first, and I'm exhausted before I start. And so I want to focus, I want to quiet that circling, and take care of myself mentally this year as well. And I'll get into that in more detail in just a moment. But before I show you what I have specifically in mind with these intentions for sewing, knitting, embroidery, and then body, mind, and soul, I wanted to say hello to anyone who is new here. My name is Sarah, and welcome. I am originally from the northeast of the United States, which is why I have an American accent, but I live and work in France, and I have lived here since 2009, and so it's pretty permanent now. And I mostly talk about sewing on this channel, but a little bit of embroidery and knitting as well, and then a little bit also of my life here in France, because that definitely influences what I make and what I wear on a daily basis. So I hope you enjoy, and welcome. So now for my sewing intentions, I have a lot of projects that I'd like to get to, but I want to calm that part of my mind and focus more on purpose. So as I mentioned, I'm mostly at home now, and I don't have a lot of casual wear. I have a lot of business casual wear, like skirts and dresses and formal blouses, that I don't wear at home. They're not comfortable at home, and so I have a whole portion, a large portion of my closet that I just don't touch and haven't touched in the past few months, and it makes me very sad. I will not be getting rid of them yet, just in case, but I don't wear them right now, and I don't have a whole lot of clothes to wear at home. And looking over my favorite projects of last year, in the video that I published last week, I noticed that my two favorite projects of 2025 were pieces that were more casual than I usually make. The Seymour Callan sweater, which is a light sweater that you can easily layer over a t-shirt or long sleeve t-shirt, and that's not too warm and is great for transitional seasons. And then also the Seymour Joss pants, which are a wide leg, elasticated waisted and high waisted pant that is really versatile in terms of what kind of fabrics you can make it in, and that I have been wearing nonstop because it's just so comfortable at home, and also very versatile when it comes to different seasons because I can not only make it in different fabrics, so I have a linen version for the summertime and I also have two woolen versions, but I can also layer viscose viscose leggings or woolen leggings underneath them for more warmth for more transitional periods, such as late summer or early fall with my linen pants, and then really, really cold days this winter with my woolen pants. And so I would like to make more pieces like that, if not those two patterns as well, because I will definitely be making those again this year, but more pieces that are casual and layerable and versatile like that. So if you have any suggestions, please do let me know of those kinds of clothes and garments that you wear and that are very useful to your handmade wardrobe. Then, because I can't help myself, I do have two specific projects that I want to get to. And the first is I want to try making a coat this year. Now, I know that if I want to make a coat this winter, I'm already really, really late. I should have started it in the fall. And I do have all of the fabrics for at least 3 coats, so I need to figure out which one I want to make. The most logical one would be the Bella Loves Patterns Grace coat that I planned last winter to make that I didn't get to because I have the pattern all traced out, I have all of the notions, the fabric, the lining, interlining, etc. I even have the video course because it really helps me to see the techniques visually in order to understand them, because Bella Loves Patterns, the patterns are really well constructed and use construction techniques that I've never seen before, that are haute couture or like very professional sewing techniques. And so I learn so much when I make those patterns as well. And I think I will absolutely be learning new techniques with this coat too. And so that's why I purchased that, and I'm excited to get to it, but I know it's going to be a big project. So there's that, or I can make a new trench coat because my trench coat is currently in sufferance, suffering greatly from 8 years of use, or a fall coat, but I won't get into details now. It's just that I have all of this fabric and I need to make at least one. My last coat was 4 years ago. It was 2022, I think. I made the Bella Loves Patterns Traveler coat, and I haven't made a coat since. They are huge projects and take time to recover from, but I think it's time. I need something that isn't as warm as my Traveler coat, but that is like my trench coat and not falling apart for transitional seasons. The other sewing project that I absolutely want to get to this year, that I'm not afraid to say out loud, because it's an absolute necessity, not like the coat that I just described, because I do have coats, it's a bathing suit, because I do have bathing suits that I've made myself, the Sophie swimsuit by Closet Core Patterns. I have 3 different ones that I like to wear interchangeably during the summer, but they are each at least, I'd say, 6 to 4 years old, and the fabric is worn out. Like, not only are they losing their color, but elasticity, most importantly, which means that they don't stay up like they used to, which is not good for romping around on the beach carefree. And so I need to invest my time and energy into making a new bathing suit if I want to make my own bathing suit and not buy it, which I do, because like most things, I don't like buying clothes anymore now that I can fit it to my body and make sure it fits me perfectly, or as perfect as possible, and better than ready-to-wear clothes anyway. And so yeah, I need to focus on that and get to that this year. There are also another completely different category of sewing projects that I like to get to that I've never really focused on before because it didn't really interest me before, and that is sewing for the home. And it's mostly because I have never spent so much time at home, and I didn't have time to think about sewing projects that I could make for my home. But now that I do, I have lots of ideas, and that's also part of my creative overload, is that I'm home all the time, so it's constantly circling around in my head the different things I want to get to. So I've narrowed it down to 3 projects that are of varying difficulties, and I think that that's enough for this year to focus on. But the first is an easier project, and I would like to make beeswax covers to use in the kitchen instead of plastic wrap, for example, to cover bowls and Tupperware to go in the fridge. And I have everything I need to make it. I have the beeswax that I purchased at least 2 years ago. I have scrap fabrics that I could use, but I just haven't figured out how to do it, and I haven't done it. And so that's something I'd like to get to this year because they're super useful. We have a friend, or a couple of friends, who came to visit us about a year ago, and they accidentally left a beeswax cover of theirs with us, and we forgot to give it back to them when they were close by, and now they've moved far away. And I think they've forgotten we have it, so. But I use it from time to time, and it's really easy to wash, really easy to use, and yeah, if we can eliminate even more plastic use in the kitchen, then great. So I just need to get to it. And yeah, I think it'll be really useful. The second project is I would like to make a case for my knitting needles. So I currently have a set of exchangeable needles, like different needle sizes that screw on and off of different loops, and that's fine. It came with a case holder. But I have a bunch of circular needles because I like knitting in the round when I knit. I have a lot of circular needles and a lot that are not a part of the exchangeable needle kit, and they're all currently just in a paper bag down in the corner of my sewing room. And I would like to create some kind of case to organize them better and keep them neat. And so I think that I'll make something simple. I could add embroidery or quilt it or do something cool, but that might overcomplicate it. But I do have pieces of linen, pieces of more heavyweight cotton that I could use to make this kit or this wrapping or whatever it's called. Case? Not case. I want something that has little clips and things and that rolls up. So if you have any ideas or if you have a pattern in mind that you would like to recommend for organizing circular knitting needles, please don't hesitate to let me know. I haven't researched that, but that's something I really like to get to this year. And then the last is the most difficult, but probably the most important, and it is window shades for the big double doors, the French doors that I have right next to the camera on my first floor. And it's lovely because it lets in lots of natural light, and I have a view of my garden from my first floor, which is the main living space. But in the summertime, from about May to September, the sun shines directly into the house at an angle into my sewing corner. And it is blinding. The sun is at such an angle, especially in the evening, that it is just blinding rays of light. And I do have shutters that I could use to block out the light entirely, almost entirely, but I do like using natural light to film. I just don't want really harsh rays of sun. I want still natural lighting. So I'd like to create shades instead of curtains because we don't have a lot of space and I want it to be clean. And I'm thinking of making Roman shades or boat shades, the kind that fold up and stay up in little folds. And I have the linen for it. I've planned it out. I've figured out the dimensions. I just need to do it. And it's gonna take time, but I think it's gonna be very, very useful for filming videos this summer because this is kind of embarrassing, but the past few years I've just been using a fitted sheet and sticking it in the corners of the windows to block out the light while I film. So yeah, I'd like something that looks neater and that yeah, will be easy to lift when we want full view of the garden and lots of light, and that won't totally block out the light when we have them down. For knitting, I want to especially avoid buying new yarns because I am a beginner knitter. I started knitting about 3 years ago, but I only make about 2 to 3 projects per year, so that 3 years doesn't really mean anything. I'm still a beginner and I still have a hard time figuring out which yarns to use for which projects suit me best, that I enjoy making but I'd also enjoy wearing, which colors. There are just so many color possibilities with knitting and fiber possibilities, and so I'm a bit overwhelmed, and it's sometimes difficult for me to focus on which patterns I'll actually wear and which yarns to pick. So anyway, I have enough yarn for at least 4 more projects. And yarn is expensive. Knitting is much more expensive than sewing. That's why I don't mind taking my time with each one, because I can't afford to knit more anyway. And I have enough yarn for 4 projects, at least 2 other sweaters, a cardigan, and mittens that I haven't even started, and then I have 2 projects ongoing at the moment. And so I want to first use the yarn that I have. For example, I tried making a sweater, I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it here below, about 2 or 3 years ago in this really beautiful blue yarn from Rerum Natura. It is 100% wool and it is the Muscari colorway in the Robinson range. I think it's a heavy DK weight or light worsted weight yarn. And it turned out with that sweater that even though I loved the pattern, it was way too big on me. The smallest size was gigantic on me, and there was so much extra ease. I just wouldn't wear it. It looked really frumpy on me, and so I ended up frogging the whole thing so that I could reuse the yarn, which was sad. But I have that yarn now and I want to repurpose it, so I need to find a project for that, and I want to focus on using the yarn that I have rather than purchasing more yarn. And there's another knitting project that I'm currently working on, for example, that is the Berglibo sweater that I presented. It's by Isabel Kramer, that I presented in a recent video as something that I'm working on. And it's got this really lovely yoke pattern and then stockinette stitch all the way down. And this is yarn that I am repurposing because I accidentally purchased this colorway a while ago when I was trying to make the kip sweater by Creabea. It's the same Ulysse yarn by Durham Natura, but I accidentally bought the Poivre et Sel colorway, which is salt and pepper, rather than the Poivre Blanc colorway, which is white pepper. And rather than sending it back, because I don't think I even could, I decided to make something out of it because I think it's a really lovely sort of neutral taupe color. My husband doesn't like it. I won't tell you what he calls it, but I don't care. I think it'll be a lovely neutral, like I've said. But for example, I'm modifying this one to add a little bit of waist shaping, and that's taking me a long time. And rather than giving up and moving on to something else, I want to finish it. So that is my intention for knitting this year, and hopefully I will save money that way as well. For embroidery, which is something that I've gotten interested more and more over the years, because not only have I gotten more interested in embroidery, but also texture in my makes, and I find that embroidery is a great way to add texture, and I want to figure out somehow, once I advance my skills a little bit more, to integrate it into my sewing makes, but not yet. And if you've been following this channel for a little while, you know that I've been taking classes not only to learn sashiko, which is what I applied to a hanzi top that I made in a video 2 years ago. I made the wave pattern, seigaiha pattern, for the sashiko and embroidered that on the blue version of the top that I made. But also I've been learning kogen sashi, which is another traditional Japanese embroidery technique, and it is also counted stitches embroidery. I'll show you that there. This is the latest one that I made just a week ago in class. And I love it. I love the texture of it. I love the different motifs that we're learning. We have, I think, 4 more motifs to learn, which means that I'll probably finish that class this year. And then I think the teacher's going to show us how to put them together. So how to group the blocks to make a band. So for example, you take this diagonal and you can add more blocks to it and make a band out of this. And I think that'll be really, really cool around cuffs or things like that, or belts, and to be able to add this sort of very textured embroidery. I'm excited. So I will continue doing that this year, but then also I want to get into surface embroidery. This is something I've been talking about for a very long time, and I haven't done it yet at all. It is what you normally see when you look at embroidery, and I have kits that I've purchased over the years. I have signed up for free tutorials with Why Not Stitching, for example, online, and most recently the Robin tutorial that I fully intended to make and then didn't touch over the Christmas holidays. And last Christmas, I even requested and got as a present this book. It's called Seamless Embroidery by Yumiko Higuchi, and it is this really, really beautiful embroidery, and there are just so many. I love what she does on Instagram. This is gorgeous, for example. My goodness, I love it. I love her designs. I love the colors she uses. I love how it's very focused on nature, and I want to try it, but I just haven't gotten to it yet. I have never stitched surface embroidery. So that is my goal this year, to do at least one surface embroidery project. I must do it. I want to so bad. I just need to sit down, reserve the time, and do it. Now, lastly, and more importantly, I want to set intentions for taking care of my body and my mind in this year of creativity ahead of me. And firstly, I've been thinking about how best to take care of my body while I'm making videos or sewing or knitting, because I have hip pain that comes back quite often, and so I need to be careful of my posture, how I sit, make sure not to slouch. And recently for Christmas, my sister gifted me a book and a kit, which I wanted to show you. It is this one, Wellness for Makers by Missy Graf Bologna, or Bologna, I'm not sure. And I follow her on Instagram, and she has a lot of great tips and exercises for makers to avoid neck tension, back tension, hand and wrist pain, and I think that it's going to be really interesting. I haven't read it yet, but it also came with a kit. Where's the kit? Here it is. It came with a kit with wrist or hand rollers and different tools to strengthen the hands and fingers, because especially since I'm knitting and want to work on embroidery and some hand sewing, I think that my hands are going to be extra sore. How does this work? Let's see. Aha. I want to take care of my body in order to make this creativity sustainable. I want to be able to create long into my life and take care of it now. Secondly, I would like to concentrate on being careful with my budget for creative projects, and I mentioned this specifically with knitting, but also with sewing. I want to try and use the patterns that I have, the fabrics that I have, rather than getting caught up in the newest things. Sometimes they're new and they're great, and they're things that I've always looked for and never found. And sometimes I will need to buy fabric because I may not have the fabric I want for the projects that I have in mind, but I want to concentrate as much as possible on making the fabric that I have and avoiding fabric temptation. So this means, for example, avoiding instances where I might feel like I must buy this fabric, so avoiding fabric shopping when I don't need fabric, or avoiding fabric fairs. So for example, I really wanted to go to the London Stitch Festival this year that's going to take place in London in March, and I think in my heart of hearts I know that it's not reasonable in this year, as I'm on unemployment and my finances are not sure or very stable. Well, they're stable, but you know, we'll see for how long. And of course it would be amazing to be able to go and meet other creators and other sewists as well. I think the social aspect is really cool, and half the reason why I wanted to go, but also I know that the fabric buying temptation will be strong and I will spend money if I go. And so I think that I'm going to have to avoid that this year. The good thing is it happens once a year. Hopefully it'll continue, and I may be able to go next year, so it's not lost forever. And then also I want to unsubscribe from certain Instagram accounts, fabric shops Instagram accounts, and email newsletters, because even though I love their fabrics, often their marketing is too good and it provokes impulse buying because, oh, it's just so beautiful. And it's fabrics that I wasn't particularly looking for. And so I think to avoid temptation, I will be not following those fabric stores anymore, unfortunately, even though I will continue supporting them when I do need fabric. And I think that will help a lot. Lastly, I want to take care of my mental health, and this is something I've been talking about as well throughout the video, avoiding cognitive overload and focusing my creative energy and prioritizing my projects. But also I want to focus on quality over quantity, and I know that you might have the idea that I'm already doing this on this channel, but you don't know what goes on in my head. And in my head, for example, last fall, I had at least 15 projects planned, and I got to, I think, 4 or 5. And I know it's not a big deal. I know I still made 5 projects, and that's great for the fall season. They are pieces that I was able to either give to other people that they love and cherish, or and asked for specifically, or pieces that I wear all the time now that are staples in my wardrobe, that are good quality because I paid attention to the details and the fiber choice, the techniques used, etc., the sizing, and that I will wear for years to come. So they're good, you know, quality makes. And it's okay that my fall season was slow. I had a lot going on in the fall season, not only this medical treatment and physical fatigue and mental fatigue, a lot of events were happening in my private life, and then also the holidays. And so it was a busy season, and then I know every year I experience seasonal depression in the fall and sort of a dip in motivation to sew and create during the fall season. And so I know that this is something that I do every year, and every year I get in my head, I feel guilty, I feel lazy, I feel unproductive, and it's just toxic. And I need to accept that there are some seasons of life where I need to listen to my body, especially now with this medical treatment, that it's okay if I make less, it's okay if I focus on one project at a time and quality over quantity, that I need to avoid spiraling and thinking, well, what kind of YouTuber am I if I'm not even sewing this week or I have nothing new to show? It's not about newness, it's about quality, right? And so that's something I need to think about more intentionally this year, and I think is the biggest thing that I want to focus on this year, the most important, which is why I saved it for the end. And I hope that this is a message that will help you in your projects as well, because I think that our societies, or societies all over the world, prioritize today productivity over quality and over listening to your body, taking care of your mind. And yeah, I want to resist that more and better this year. So those are my creative intentions for 2026, and I'm excited to see where this year takes me, even if I'm a little anxious as well. Let me know if you have set creative intentions for this year, or if you've done so in the past, and if that's helped you. I would love to know if there are any techniques or mindsets that you've used in the past to help focus your creative energy and be happier in your creativity. Please do share. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support this channel, don't hesitate to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a tip, you can leave one with the YouTube Super Thanks option at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, or follow the link in the description below to my Ko-fi account to leave a tip there. Any contributions are greatly appreciated and really help to sustain this channel. I hope that you are all doing well, and I will see you again here soon with a new video all about my winter making plans, so stay tuned, take care, and bye-bye.